to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag is raised there. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and just a reminder that Norton Media is here recording, so if anybody else is recording, we just need to know. Oh, this is exciting. I knew I recognized a name on this list. We're going to introduction of Norton High School Class of 2023 salutatorian and valedictorian.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, and the public, it's my distinct and pleasure to be here this evening to announce our salutatorian and our valedictorian for the class of 2023. Our salutatorian is Julia Inkley. She has consistently been dedicated to her academics while balancing her extracurriculars and has maintained a fantastic performance in her classes. Her enthusiasm for learning is apparent as she's one of the top students of the class of 2023. Julie is the type of student who goes above and beyond graduation requirements. She has taken 7 science courses and has even shadowed a physician's assistant on her own time, which only solidified her interest in this career path. She is a member of 6 honor societies, being on the board of 2 of them, and is also involved in DECA and the Environmental Club. Julie has been involved in dance for 16 years and has enjoyed teaching dance to pre-K students in addition to her part-time job. Julia has been able to fully commit to her academic interests with all of her other responsibilities and will surely find success in her future undergraduate program. She'll be attending University of Massachusetts Amherst this fall. Congratulations. I was never number 2 or number 1 for the grades. Number 3. Our valedictorian is Sandra Fairbairn, who has maintained an exemplary academic record. For her determination and dedication, she has earned her spot at the top of her class. She has maintained high honors and has been recognized for her academic achievements. She is a proud member of 5 honor societies and even holds a leadership position in one of them. These academic accolades are a true testament to her academic effort, and she's excited to take the next step in her education and is excited to explore computer science or engineering. Sandra has been involved in softball for many years, both on the club team and at the Norton High School. Through the sport, she has gained leadership skills and has been recognized as a Tri-Valley League All-Star, Southern Chronicle All-Star, and an NHS Team and Offensive MVP. She has coached younger athletes both within the town and her club team and sees herself continuing to coach. Sandra is hoping to play softball in college and will certainly be an asset to her school both in and out of the classroom. Sandra will be attending Worcester Polytechnic Institute this fall. Congratulations. Let me just take a moment, Madam Chair, if I may, just to thank the families for taking the chance on sending your children to Norton High School, because you could have gone anywhere else. These are 2 outstanding kids. They would have been successful anywhere else that they would have gone, but to come to Norton High and do what they've done is a testament to you folks as families and to your supports that you have for them. And to these fine young women, thank you so much for being part of Norton Public Schools and Norton High School. Congratulations.
Good luck, girls. Yeah. So I just have to ask, I mean, Julie, I've known your parents for a long time, so the last time I saw you, you were really little. But Sandra, I have to ask you, did you always win the fishing derbies when we had them? I knew it. I knew your name, and I recognized the hair, and I'm like, that has to be her. She always won the fishing derbies. You can add that to your list. Awesome
Next to
job.
valedictorian.
Okay, I just had to ask. All right, so we'll move on. I know you guys probably don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting, so feel like you're going to out. Feel
It's
ready.
okay.
It's nice to see you guys.
Congratulations.
See you graduation. All right, so vote to approve the minutes of May 11th and May 15th. Open session meetings. Everybody have a chance to look them over. Any questions or comments or, no? Is there a motion to approve, the May 11th open session meetings?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then is there a motion to approve the May 15th minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, the warrants, I guess that's me. I have reviewed and approved the following warrants. School expense warrant, May 11th, 2023, $312,905.98. I wish to enter that into public record. And then, student rep update.
Alright, so Malia is not here, actually the next meeting is our last meeting,
Wow.
sad. So from the high school, this was the last week for seniors. They celebrated their achievements at class night for having a great time at the Parent Advisory Board's all-night grad party on Friday. Seniors celebrated the end of classes on Monday with a senior barbecue in the afternoon at school and a sunset movie showing the book ended their sunrise breakfast from September. All seniors are looking forward to next week with the grad walk at the elementary schools, the Six Flags trip, and graduation on Thursday. The Norton High School PBIS team rolled out an incentive system for getting students to class last week as a pilot to plan for full implementation next year. Students scanned a teacher's QR code when they were on time for class to earn points. And then from the middle school, tonight is the second evening performance of the middle school's drama club production of Wizard of Oz. The drama club has been working hard at work for the past several months, and their hard work is on full display in the auditorium this evening, and the final performance is tomorrow. Feel free to stop in and check it out before you leave. Tomorrow, NMS is pleased to honor our veterans through the tradition of our annual Memorial Day Assembly. They are pleased to have numerous distinguished service members and veterans who are joining them. And then they just finished completing all rounds of MCAS testing for the year. The middle school sports teams are getting ready to wrap up their seasons with varying levels of success enjoyed by all teams. And then lastly, spring field trips are well underway with various different trips being undertaken by students at all grade levels, with the 8th grade trip to New York City on June 9th. And then the Yale, they have some move up traditional activities planned for both grades. 5th grade students have met with Mr. Hayward, Mr. Move, and 2 8th grade students came into each of their homeroom classes to describe all of the ins and outs of NMS. On Friday, May 26th, all of the 5th graders will head over in the afternoon for a full experience of the middle school. The 3rd graders coming to us in the coming weeks, a family informal night, and the 4th graders will check out the 2nd and 3rd floors for where they'll be next year. And then they have field day for both grades on June 8th, packed full with some fun, engaging outdoor activities. 5th grade has had an animal assembly for Animal Adventure from the Hay PTO. They came today. Thursday, May 25th, and for the rest of the grades tomorrow, Friday, May 26th, with all of our students learning not to bully by seeing, touching, and hearing about such animals as frogs, chinchillas, pythons, armadillos, and kangaroos. Such a great message, well-being, and incredible experience. The 5th graders will also be going to the hall at Patriot Place for STEAM activity field trip. They will also have a final celebration put on by the Hay PTO the Friday before school. That's out with a DJ, fun activities, pizza, and snacks, and getting their yearbooks. Some great things for our kids to enjoy as we finish up the school year. That's all I have.
That's a good report.
Yeah.
What's going on? Anybody have anything? Awesome, thank you so much. Next is review and vote on transportation timeline and fees.
We're gonna ask to table this to the next meeting.
Okay.
We're collecting some information. We know that the fee is not gonna come down, but we need to do what we did a few years ago in terms of that timeline, turning it around quicker.
Yep.
And if people move into town, of course, they will get the same fee, but we're really looking at that if you don't meet a deadline, you should pay a penalty. We wanna bring that to you to see what other districts are doing. The timeline is too long. It needs to be shorter. Parents need to know that they need to take the bus. So we'll start that process right away. We'll be a little behind, but it'll be out before school. Right, Chris, we can get it out before they close the school. Right away. And some parents are already asking, so I just want to get you a little bit more information, so I apologize for that.
Okay, alright, thank you. Alright, review and vote on school committee meeting dates for the 23-24 school year.
These are recommendations as per other years. As you know, Every once in a while you add dates, you drop dates just because of what's going on, but traditionally we have approximately 16 to 18, not including 2 town meetings and a special or any of that stuff, so it's really your call. We just went through and try to be consistent on as much as we could on the second and the fourth Thursday, or instead of just picking every other day. That way it's consistent for Thursday night football, which is now also going to be a thingamajig. I think it's the worst decision out of it. So that's not part of the calendar. That's just my experience.
Is the 29th, did we do a separate, February 29th, the budget workshop?
Yeah,
Or
so
did we not do that this year?
So we didn't. We ended up not doing it. If you remember, we did it during a regular meeting. But I think we should go back, especially with a new team in place. I think it would be worthwhile to have that Saturday. You can't lose for doing that.
It was only ever a couple of hours.
Right. It's usually 9 to 11, 9 to 11:30. Sherry cooks.
Breakfast.
Buys
As
it on
per
the-
his munchkin.
buys it.
Revise it, whatever.
So you do vote on it.
So, not to throw a monkey wrench into this, but I just want to pose the question: is Thursday a great day for everybody?
It doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah.
Better than Monday or Tuesday. But that
It
doesn't.
used to be Mondays until.
It used to be
Yeah.
Mondays,
Years ago,
yeah.
3 years
Well,
ago.
we switched it under the idea that we would have these joint
Joint
meetings
meetings.
Right, with the
that we don't
select
seem to
board.
really have.
And they
going on.
switched it to
Right.
Wednesdays anyway.
So, yeah, right, so, I'm just asking only because, as Joe has already brought up, Thursday nights I go to football.
Just make it an easy, simple agenda.
You know, I'm just
Get to
pointing
the
that out.
point at 6 o'clock. Get it done until 7:30. You have plenty of time.
But also, at the same time, we have new members coming in, and I figured I should just ask, because sometimes people have things, and it's easier for them to do on another night. We can do Thursday, it's not a thing for me, but just figured I'd throw the question out there. Everybody's okay with Thursday?
It doesn't,
I'm a different dude.
the only problem for me is
Works for me.
Wednesdays during hockey season,
Yeah,
my last
Wednesdays
season.
don't work for me at all.
Yeah,
Okay, all right, well, that's fine.
and Monday, Tuesday don't work.
Yes,
I mean, if no, I could do them, it's just, my wife teaches dance, but it would just kinda,
No, no, let's keep it Thursday.
but even Thursdays doesn't, it's the same thing.
Let's keep it Thursday,
Okay.
that's fine.
There's always
Okay.
gonna be something.
Alright,
I suppose as long as we don't have drawn out agendas, then keep the agendas.
Yeah, I think-
We
I
have the
think-
2 meetings.
Yeah, you know what, so, the fact of the matter is, every month has certain topics that we have to
Yeah.
bring forward in order to meet certain deadlines or to make sure that we're doing X, Y, Z. And then there's the topics that are policy stuff that change. We probably have done more policy in the last 2 years than we did in the prior 6 years combined, just because of the world. I'll just leave
Yeah.
it at that. So, I think some of those are gonna quiet down for you. I don't see a lot of legislative bills right now that are gonna cause a lot of quirks. There are a couple. There is one on cell phones. I don't know if you've been hearing about it.
yeah,
Commissioner announced today that grant money will be available to school districts who want to follow DESI's protocols for cell phones. I think you guys can have a really good discussion about that one.
we will.
Because
Again.
again,
We will.
because it's, I haven't gotten any data, and Vinny, I'm putting you on the spot, but the number of phone calls that I used to get compared to what I am getting from administration about cell phones is definitely quieted down. There's no doubt about that. And I think part of that is good for the students for recognizing that, if we want to keep a right that the committee fought hard for them to keep, even against my recommendation, we better follow that rule. There's always the outlier, but I just haven't seen the same amount of phone calls. I'll give you that. I'll ask to see if we have any anecdotal information I could share with you.
Well, I think it's good for students, and I think it's good for the staff, that, that, like I've said for a while now, that the kids who can follow the rules are not being punished. So I stand behind that, and I think DESI needs to stay in their lane, but that's all I'll say on
Yeah,
that for now.
the legislation probably wouldn't allow for you to say that statement, because you know how they work. But
I'll
but
still say it. Yeah.
DESI it's my understanding that they're putting it out there with grant funding attached to being creative and doing things great. Now, that could be the things that go on the wall, that could be the purchase of a social media curriculum to teach kids how to utilize their phone properly and other social media. We don't know yet.
Yeah,
So we'll have to figure that out.
yeah. Alright, so any questions about the meeting schedule?
No.
Everyone good? Alright, so we have to vote, right, Joe?
Yes.
Alright, so is there a motion to vote on the school committee meeting scheduled for 23-24.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, FY 24 budget vote.
Yeah, so as you know, you have to take a budget vote after the town meeting, so your first discussion tonight is that you have a new budget of $34,706,433, and of course, I can't go outside of that, so that's the recommended budget. So I do need a vote on that so we can enter it, and it allows Christine to put the budget to town hall in the, what's it, 4 different line items or whatever it is that has to go to town, that's town meeting before, sometime in June. That's the first part.
Okay.
So the budget is what the budget is. So we're voting on that tonight, right?
Yeah.
Can we, the areas targeted, the expenses, the salaries, et
Yep.
cetera, can we get a more granular
Yep.
description of what we're doing there? Just
Yep.
because this is, I mean, expenses and salaries are being cut, like, well, I kinda figured we'd have to do that, right?
Yeah, so you have, yes, I will get you, without any, well, you can have names too if you want, but it's positions.
No, I'm not looking for names, I just like more like,
Yeah,
what are we
so,
cutting, like,
right, so in general, so that you have it, and we'll get you a detailed one ASAP. In general, what you have for cuts are about 4.0 layoffs, 2 teachers, 2 staff, $246,640. You have $607,900 in expenses. That includes an increase of out-of-district circuit breaker being used, tech, curriculum, looks like we're getting a $150,000 curriculum grant, which is huge. which is
Amazing.
Okay.
Amazing.
so, and that was a question I had, so these cuts, when we're, so we have this list of things, some of these things are not cuts, they're actually money coming in, they're supplemental money, right?
So math program is supplemental
Okay,
money coming in. Facilities is moving a halftime custodian into the facilities line item out of the operating budget. Out of district tuitions is coming from circuit breaker.
what's in that revolving account now?
The circuit breaker,
No, the facilities revolving,
it'll be around $80,000.
there's 80,000.
Yeah, because you gotta remember, you're gonna bring in about 130,000 from, if Champions runs,
I got you.
as it
I
does
was just
every year,
curious
it's about
what the balance
130.
was right now, okay,
Yeah.
alright.
And then you have non-hiring of positions / not backfilling or placeholders or retirement savings of 800,000. So that's how it breaks down.
So this is to basically get us started on July 1st, but things could happen over the summer and we could
Right.
potentially bring back folks.
And
Grants could come available.
yes, and so that you know, there's a couple, for example, there were, correct me, Christine, there were 2 kindergarten placeholders. Now there's only 1 like we typically do. So that saved a position, if you will, from cutting deeper. And as you know, we do that because we don't know the enrollment for kindergarten hard until really August. And sometimes we've had to hire an August teacher.
Has the state come up with their budget yet?
No, it's not finalized, and that's another issue for you to know. Right now, the Senate bill, the House bill is at $60 per student, which moves you to about $125,000 instead of $62,000 at $30. The Senate bill is at $100,000, which moves you to about $230,000 in available Chapter 70 money in the fall. So, that's, the budget is grounded on 30. The potential is there's another $70 per kid.
Yeah, because I know the House passed theirs.
Yep. It's in the 2.
17th.
There's
And then they brought it to a joint conference.
the push is that, through the work of many different folks, but through the work of the MASS Legislative Committee, the number 119 has been hit hard at the State House. 119 districts are being left behind. 119, and they're hearing from the 119. Which is a good thing. So I've been acting on your behalf. We now have a legislative piece of software that allows me direct contact on every single bill. So the bill already comes to me written. It's only financial bills. I don't act on any other language bills. I would give that to you first. But in this particular case, I sign it as, hey, we need this, Norton needs this, and it goes to Senator Feeney. Right now, on that 100, prior to that, to the House, it went to Representative Barrows and Howard. And to be quite honest, I always hit the ones outside of Norton that I professionally or personally know as well, because they know what I do, so it doesn't hurt. And it probably goes to their town. So we'll get you a more specific line in terms of the biggest the principals sat with us so that you know in terms of what changes to make. You'll see in terms of staff cuts in K to 3, in terms of classroom teacher cuts, we're not cutting any. In 4 to 5, we're saving on retirements. That's what it comes down to. And we have a smaller class coming in through 4th grade, so we're actually saving a full 6-figure retirement salary, as an example. Then we have all of the changes of the staff that is coming, not returning, but we had to keep those salaries in the bucket until we have a budget. For example, I took a year of leaves absence off. I was making 85. I backfilled you for the year at 45. I have to keep the 85 in the budget. We're now saying, you know what, principal, the person's not coming back. Do we need the position, yes or no? If the answer is yes, I'm telling them they have to cap it at M1 or M2. So they gotta be at 60,000 or less. We're not hiring, unfortunately, $90,000 positions. In terms of district-wide expenses, that's the number one. That is central office. That takes the biggest hit. That's everything from positions to consultants to contract services. So that's the biggest one that's taken a hit. We'll show you that. And then we have some reorganization at the middle school and here at the Hay that bumps people. So I have to notify people that they're being bumped or involuntary transfer per contract language. So that will happen as well. So if you want to hold off until the 8th, then I'll just notify staff of, you know, that on the 9th they'll be notified of what the next steps are, if they're being laid off or.
If we wanna hold off
on voting.
well, we can
any-
vote, the budget's the budget.
The budget's the
It's not
budget,
gonna
right.
change, so we can vote on the budget.
Correct.
I'm just curious, I was just curious what the.
But what we tried to do as well, so that you know, is when we looked at not backfilling something, the first thing we looked at was class size. So an example would be if you have a resignation at Norton High School in a department, do we need to backfill? Yes or no? Based on our current enrollment, our projected enrollment. We have some very good news about upcoming 8th grade that I'll send. I just got the memo from Vinnie Cersei. We have incredible positive news on 8th graders staying. And I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that you know that there's been some Facebook chatter about everybody's leaving Norton. I can assure you that in my now almost 10 years in Norton, the numbers you're about to receive in June 8th are the best and the lowest amount of kids leaving Norton in the years that I've been present here. So your 8th graders are staying. So the chatter on social media is wrong, and I think that has to do a lot with a couple of things. Number one, I think all of this discussion around careers and pathways and innovation and all of that, and not just college, even though that's what we do, I think that's really opened up alternative education. That's really opened up families to say, you know, if my kid can go to DECA and they can be in the business tech chapter 70 program and they're gonna be okay. I think the sports and activities and wanting to play in these brand new fields, which by the way have been packed every single weekend. You know, there's something there. I mean, the numbers are reflective of the work that's being done at all levels of K to 12 and all folks that are involved. And same thing with school choice. Those numbers are going to solidify you financially for the following year as well, especially if you can save some of the carryover money from year to year, as you know, we try to do. The biggest savior that led the conversation to become less of a concern was the $150,000 math grant for the new math program. So we feel very comfortable based on the last grant that we got. We only asked for a certain portion of money and we got more. Today the commissioner did announce there's more money coming for curriculum. They are pushing right now, as Jen knows, this further alignment from district to district. In other words, instead of Easton choosing this math program and Norton this math program and Stoughton this one and Brockton that one, they're saying there's too many math programs out there. We should be concentrating on only these 3 or these 4 or these 5. Doesn't necessarily make us very happy for 2 reasons. Number one, if you're using data at the heart of using data, as you guys know, we try to do that on a regular basis. Where are our kids? Where are the issues? You want to purchase curriculum that supports some of your holes so that it's supporting the holes, not just completely changing the way we do business. And I think every superintendent, every assistant superintendent is saying, this is a little bit of a, like your phrase.
Definitely needs to stay in their lane.
They need to stay in their lane. I like your phrase a lot. I might use that in my next district.
You should.
And
Works a
because
lot.
I'm concerned about what this means, and it's every district has a concern that it's taking away from that local control. It's sending a message that local control, either people on my side of the aisle or my bosses on that side don't know what they're really doing. That's concerning. I'm not suggesting that that's what they're trying to do. I'm just suggesting that we feel it. We feel that it's a little bit of a reach, because that's never happened. And if it's this so-called research-based, but one of the things if I'm speaking out of turn, please correct me. I'm seeing a lot of company names that I truly have never seen, and I've been in this business for over 30 years. So sometimes that's a little concerning for me.
Which I actually don't think is a bad thing, because,
Yeah,
you know,
well, that's
the,
true too.
the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and
That's
expecting
true.
different
Good point.
results. So, with this $150,000 that, you know, we're hoping to make happen, we will have received about $275,000 this year for new curriculum purchases, which is huge. It is really allowing us to put high quality materials into the hands of our teachers and students, in K-5 math, grade 6 to 8 math, as well as grade 6 to 8 ELA. And we have gone through a very comprehensive process. As you know, from seeing Christy and I present a few months ago about our elementary program, we'll be coming back to you on June 8th to present to you math and ELA for our middle school as well. And it's been interesting because, you know, we just made our final decision with the middle school ELA team on Tuesday, and what we found was that they don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. They were really drawn to, you know, texts that were interesting to students, and not just some of the same old thing that we've done before. So teachers are excited, they're interested to take some risks, and the biggest thing for us and for the new assistant superintendent will be, you know, really making sure that we're providing with them with the professional development to implement these new programs in a really meaningful way.
Lastly, I think one of the things that's the most important thing is that the school committee decided over a year ago now that it needed to take some time and effort and make some difficult decisions around salaries specifically attached to our hourly wage employees, but also our teachers. You know, that's always going to be an issue because of how budgets work. But I can assure you, as someone leaving the union and left the union a long time ago, leaving the district and going elsewhere and studying what's going on there and comparing it to here and others around us, the hardest people to find right now beyond can be teachers in many different places. But really, it's the hourly employees that are becoming a real problem. So your custodian, your paraprofessional, your administrative assistants, Norton's done right for those people. And you should take that to town, because the idea that somebody is not paid at least a competitive wage to be able to pay more than just their insurance. So kudos to you for doing that. Now, it hurts a little bit right now, but long term, you don't have to do what I think a lot of other places are gonna do, which is to have to increase those salaries so much over a period of time that it does become an even more budget buster, if you will. You know, some of our hourly employees, when you say, well, we're gonna give them 1%, you're talking about 20 cents an hour. That's 8-hour day. That's $1.60. That doesn't pay for a cup of coffee, right? So what you've done is kudos to you. You've made those positions competitive. I don't think that Dr. O'Neill and the team is gonna have a hard time having to find a paraprofessional who's already trained, is already doing well. We're already starting to see those applicants because our salaries have become more competitive. And the reputation of the district is that we work well together and all of that stuff. So kudos, I haven't said this publicly, but kudos to you folks for agreeing to do that, because I think long term it's gonna pay off for the district in comparison to what others are doing. I'm sorry. Only one more comment and then please vote. My goal in this budget, in working with Jen Christine, Vinnie, Casey, and the principals who gave us ideas of what they believed would be best for their building, was to be able to give the new administration and you some flexibility based on if further changes happen in the summer, which they usually do, and they usually save you a couple of bucks. I've had years it's been 60,000, I've had years it's been 150,000, meaning people leave, other people come in, we get another grant, that type of stuff. We've tried to be able to give some flexibility so that as Jen sees numbers climb in a certain area or so on, they can have a difficult conversation about what's the targeted position to bring back, or what's the targeted position to be able to add. You do have a crunch space at the LGN, huge crunch space, and you're gonna have to have some real hard discussions over the next couple of years, around the district. You have a 40B going on that side of town, you got another one going on up here. 25 kids show up at the at the LGN, we're in trouble. And so you've got a few years before those open up, but as you know, it takes time to work with the school committee, having the administration, and then lastly, the word redistricting is a very powerful word for families, especially families of young ones. So just think about that. So that's been the goal of this budget as presented, and we'll get you the detail by detail line item for you.
Great. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts about this, or are you guys ready to vote on the budget?
I have two questions. With the math grant, so basically all that's doing is saying we're getting $150,000, so we're not having to put $150,000.
Because we had to, right,
Correct.
because we had to.
originally had it in the budget.
We had it in the budget because we have to make that change. It's been a long time coming, and so we were making that difficult decision.
Is a grant 1 year?
So it depends on the grant.
Okay.
Often what will happen is the department will bring grants back year after year. So for example, we have received a math grant over these last couple of years for supplementary materials. So we've used that to purchase ST Math for our 3 elementary schools. It's roughly about $12,000. And so this year, once we went through the process of looking at our core programs, we were then eligible to apply for this grant. And what happened is that I actually applied for it last year, but because our timeline we were going through, we did a full K-12 math review, where other communities may have just done K-5 or just done middle school. Our timeline wasn't exactly tied with what DESE was looking for. And so, I was on the phone with somebody at the beginning of the year because we were not granted that money. And I said, so basically you're telling me that we're being punished for doing a thorough job. And so, of course they love to hear those things. So
Do we get the grant?
we did not get the grant last year. However, it just was recently published again. So we really already have the grant written and ready to go, and we will resubmit. And fingers crossed, be successful this time around because we have done all of that legwork that went into the process.
And Nick, to your question, if I just can add, in general, these are one-time costs for us that are pretty good for us to not have to worry about that area for a good 5-6 years anyways, sometimes longer. Usually you don't wanna go any longer than, I would say, 6 years, because many of them are if we were paying for them and they allow for us to pay it every year, let's say, it'd probably be a 6-year, and then they got the online version and all that stuff. So that's the great thing about the grants, is that it doesn't impact next year's budget for math curriculum. So that's
So we've cut a lot of deals with curriculum companies over the years.
legal deals.
Joe and I, and in terms of making multi-year payments, but as much as we can pay for something once and not have to think about it again for 5 or 6 years, it's really wonderful. For our elementary program, the quote that came back was significantly higher than we had first anticipated, and Mrs. Dietz and I have, helped them to write up case studies about Norton, and they were able to bring our costs down as we're basically doing free advertising for them. So I will be bringing a article about our process from Orgo that they've written, and we'll be publishing about Norton Public Schools to the committee as well.
And I guess my last thing is what are we officially voting on?
The number, because the number
Because
changed.
the number's not gonna change.
Doesn't change yet.
Correct.
Yeah, this is your July 1 number. The only
Once
thing
the
that can
town
happen.
approves it, it is what it
Right, and once you approve it tonight, what you're basically, because you have one more meeting, probably not two, what that allows, typically happens in June, is at the last meeting, in general, the superintendent has some flexibility during the summer to move monies around as they see fit for the purposes of, if you save something in transportation and you wanna move it to, for example, personnel, you're gonna have to take that vote anyways, cause that's a line item change. We don't do a lot of that, we're very lucky, it's also because our budget is so tight. I was just in another meeting the other day where $1 million was moved from, to go to transportation, because that district was in debt $1 million, so they had to take it out of other services. We don't have those numbers, we just don't. I mean, I think the last time we had a major transfer, it's gotta be years ago that we did something like that. We just don't have a lot of those transfers. But it gives, it's always, I've always had the opportunity to be able to just email you over the summer and say, I am hiring that kindergarten position for the blah, blah, blah school because I'm concerned about the numbers. We're gonna do it now so that the principal has enough time to re-roster the classrooms and before they send out the rosters to parents and the exchanges begin.
Okay.
Okay?
Anything else?
Good.
Okay. So do we have a motion to accept the FY '24 budget?
So moved, $34,706,443.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Told you it's gonna take me a while. All right, do we have anything under other?
I believe we have a member who has something under other.
Yeah, so I spoke with the president of the CPAC, Mr. Bernstein, and he just wanted me to share a few things with the committee and the town. They have their final, the CPAC has their final meeting on Monday, June 5th from 6 to 8 at the high school. And they're just gonna be highlighting some of their summer and June events. They are doing a therapeutic horseback riding event for June 11th. They also have 2 fitness programs that are going to start July 31st and will run on Mondays and Wednesdays through August 16th. And that is for students in pre-K through grades 2 and up, actually. So pre-K through grade 1 is gonna be from 2 to 3 p.m. Grades 2 and up will be from 3 to 4 p.m. It will be taking place at the turf field at the high school. And Norton families can sign up at the CPAC website, which is www.nortoncpac.com. The cost is $35 per participant, and the money goes directly towards the coaches. And they also have teamed up with Mansfield and Foxborough CPAC as well. Towards the end of the summer, the CPAC is taking 40 students from Norton to Nome Surfing in Rhode Island.
Awesome.
Yeah, so, they're like doing surfing lessons and, yeah.
No, threw me off.
That's just, that's what it's called.
Take
The
card,
company
no,
name
name
is
on
Nome Surfing. If you want more information, you can definitely go to their website or their Facebook page or reach out. And then finally, Mr. Bernstein just wanted me to highlight that the CPAC is here for the families of Norton to provide support while navigating the process and during their IEP journey. They promote and support innovative educational environment where children with disabilities have equal access to educational opportunities. And yeah, I'm looking forward to working with them this next year and seeing what fun events they have, because they did a lot this past year, I know, but
This group's done a good job.
yeah.
Yeah, there's
done
a lot of
quite
I think
information
we
on
had him at
Facebook
one of our
too.
fall meetings, it was one of our best meetings, I think.
Yeah.
It's just such energy
Yeah.
that
And I know Vinny's here, so
I just wanted to say, one thing that they didn't mention there, but I wanna make sure that they get credit for is, we had our Norton Bay games,
Oh, yes.
yesterday, and, they were a big supporter of that in many, many ways. One of them, they provided all of the T-shirts, that each of the athletes received, as well as our 70 or so best buddies from the high school and middle school, and then staff was able to purchase their own. So they supported us through that along with some other community providers, but, you know, I don't, it wouldn't have been as great a day as it was without the CPAC, and so I just wanted to
Yeah.
thank them publicly for that.
Yeah.
That's great. Good, anything else?
Oh, I was just gonna give you a quick update on the assistant superintendent search. So, applications close tomorrow, and as of this afternoon, we have 48 applicants.
Oh my god.
Which is just unbelievable. So, Huh?
He's got another one, 49.
49.
Literally not off the
Okay,
press.
awesome. So, there you go.
Yeah, 50.
Uh, so Karen and Vinny have developed this really great rubric that coincides with the job description, and we sat down this morning and went through and kind of ranked all of our applicants to get them down to a more reasonable number, because you certainly can't interview that kind of people. And so tomorrow morning, we will finalize our recommendations for interviews and get that list, those invitations out to the individuals and to the committee.
Kudos to Jen's work with the association, because I think it's part of, these numbers aren't out there for these positions. I'm telling you right now, yeah, I've said this to you before. I know the names, I'm part of this process. And just as a reminder, it's a recommendation for hire from the superintendent after they come out of that process. But I think it's gonna be hard choices, and that's a good thing for Norton Public Schools. I just wanted to mention, I don't know, is Malia coming to the next meeting? She's already a graduate, so I don't know if she's gonna come.
I can tell her she has to.
She said she's coming next
She said she's coming
okay.
next meeting.
All right, good. Just wanted to recognize her, that's all. That's all, nothing big, just a little recognition.
Glad
Nice to
you're
meet
here.
you. Well,
Yeah,
that's-
Joe said something about you, but I don't know.
Joe said, here, take this, and it's a
It's a
blank
card.
card that says, we love you, Malia.
It's just this envelope, I don't know.
I'll pass that on.
That's all I have, appreciate it.
Anybody have anything else?
Nope.
Alright, so next meeting is June 8th at the middle school library at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So-